Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video, we're going to be playing with some interesting product. I was talking to a friend of mine, Anna, and she had asked me a question about a technique. And I thought this was interesting, especially because it's around the holidays, with it being, like Christmas, like this could be fun to play with if you've never thought about doing it. So I just grabbed this red Solo cup and I have two Distress Oxide inks and one of Catherine Pooler's hybrid inks, which is the gold. Not hybrid. Oh, what is this called? Pigment inks. Because most of her inks are dye inks. So the pigment inks are like the golds and silver. And I just went around the rim and created a line on the paper here using the cup. And then I'm taking the color and I'm pulling it from the line. And I'm going to color in the circle. So I saw, and I can't remember exactly who it was that was on the link she sent me, but I saw a few people, different people, using this technique to do obviously like holiday cards, making them bulbs and putting a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays sentiment on top of the card. What's interesting with this is that it's kind of how do I explain? So you have the line and you're creating possible shadows or highlighted areas by using the ink from the side, but you can also put some ink in the top of the lid. At one point I think I even just start using my brush right on the edge of the pad itself to grab some ink, just to get a little bit more color, because I will say the cup it works really well, but it is a much bigger circle opening, like a circle shape. Now, the lady that I was seeing, she used a glass cup. So I was thinking like you could do a bunch of different sizes. You could get like a shot glass size. You could do your regular just drinking glass and then like a nice wine glass. You know what I mean? Like you could really make a couple of different size circles if you wanted to, you know what I mean? I did try with the yellow color, which I should tell you is mustard seed. I used the back side, the bottom part of the cup, and it was a smaller circle. So I kind of like that one a little bit better. So like for a card front, I would say maybe use the bottom of the cup to create your circle. It takes up less room, it doesn't take up a lot of space. So you could get definitely more of them on a page, and you could create like a cluster. You could create string on them to make them look like they're hanging from somewhere. There's a lot of different options. And then once they colored it in and they got the shape going, then they took gold and went around the edges again with gold, sort of like as a highlighter. Now, I think you could do this one of two ways. So right now on my desk, what I have is these inks and some sprays. But if you had like a gold paint, if you had a gold paste, something that was a little bit thicker than like regular stamping ink, you could use that on the edge to give it a little bit of something. This particular gold is not a very what do I say, like a shiny yellowy gold. It gives you an element of like there's some type of a shine there, but I think you could do a little bit more if you had paint or something like that. And I wanted to just see if I could move it with the water. I couldn't. So I'm just gonna hold them up so you can kind of see it here on the green and the yellow. But I think, you could do it just like that and have it be nice and simple, a little bit of an accent, add your sentiment, call it a day. But I wanted to try something because I'm always interested in trying stuff. So I'm cleaning off my edge and I'm going to spray the edge with the fossilized amber amber spritz. And it got a little messy, I will say that. And then I wind up having like a little bit bigger splots in certain areas. But I'm going to leave that alone because I'm still thinking this could work. This could work. So I'm spraying the bottom of the cup, and then I'm just going to wipe the edges, the sides, I should say, and then the inside, and then do the same thing on the mustard seed. And then let it dry. And then now with the spritz, now when you tilt it, it has a little bit of a gold shimmer, that beautiful shimmer from the spritz. So you could have fun with this. There's a lot you can do. And I think that, you know, when it comes to stuff like this, it's just about using what you have available. You know what I mean? You want to be able to create a circle. If you can do it with the ink, so that way you can pull or drag in the color. That is a big technique that a lot of people use with, what did I say? When you're stamping. So like if you stamp a flower and you're using oxides or a dye ink like Catherine Pooler, once you stamp it, you can take the water brush and pull the color into the stamped image, right? It's the same concept, except you're not using a stamp. You're using just a cup or the rim of a glass. You know what I mean? And then right now what I'm doing is I'm putting like a little fake bow. So we have a string on one. I'm doing a little fake bow and then trying to have little wispies. Just to give you an idea. You know, I'm not the best hand drawer, but it's the idea of like just trying to create what might look like a bulb, you know. And you can do designs in the centers or even all over the bulb itself. You know what I mean? You just want it to look like it's something, a bulb hanging from somewhere. You don't have to have the trees and all that. You don't have to make it complicated. You know what I mean? But it's just a fun technique to do using a little bit of watercolor. It's lots of fun, especially with oxides, because you can, you know, certain colors get a little bit more chalkier than others. So, you know, it adds another element to it, I should say. Now, if you're not comfortable doing it with the cup, you can, if you have circle stamps, do the same thing with the circle stamp. It has a little bit of a distressed look, but I'm just going to wet up my brush and bring that color inside from that edge. Okay. And then instead of, obviously, oh, I'm going to draw my little line so it looks like it goes with the big one. And then I'm going to take the same stamp again, clean it off, but this time I'm going to stamp it in the gold. And then do the same thing and hold it up so you can see a little bit of that shine. See that gold, it gives you a little bit of a shimmer, but there's nothing like the spritz, okay? And you're probably thinking, can you stamp with spritz? Sort of. For what we want to do, it's going to be perfect. So I cleaned off the center and around so it wasn't a whole bunch of juicy spritz spray. And now when we hold it up, once I got everything cleaned off, you'll be able to see when I tilt it, we get that gold. I love how that turned out. So these are fun. These are certainly fun. But I like the idea that you could use a stamp if you have a stamp that does more of an edge instead of like a solid stamp, you know. You can have fun with this. So I hope you guys like this. I'm sorry if I can find the link again, I will put it down below. But if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I would look forward to seeing you guys with our next video. You have a great one.